Chris has easily the most interesting sleeves of the tournament.
I think that's Adventure Time.
I believe that is correct. I've never seen those before. Here's a Forest. It's an Elvish Mystic. We're underway here in round number 12. Thoughtseize here for Joe. Genesis Hydra, Death Mist Raptor, Teamer Sabertooth, a couple of lands.
Pretty powerful start here.
Yeah,
it's
for
a good
sure.
curve. And this is why Teamer Sabertooth has picked up in popularity so much in this deck, is because it's very, very good in the mirror, and it's got spots of just being randomly powerful. And the cost of playing it's pretty low. Still 4 power creature for 4 with utility and adds to your devotion count.
What's interesting about this, I suppose the Genesis Hydra kind of gives the hand away. Like it's possible that like Chris is just on some like weird green-white land like mid-range aggro deck, but the Genesis Hydra, you don't really put that in your deck on accident. There's a Nykthos.
Well, the Teamer Sabertooth is a low opportunity cost card, but it's not just going in for the beatdowns.
Yeah.
This is a pretty dead giveaway.
Joe going to go with the Genesis Hydra, okay.
Well, you can't really take the Raptor,
Yeah.
and the Sabertooth doesn't do a lot in that hand right now. So, Hydra it is.
It is time for a Death Mist Raptor. The first time on camera. Now, you feel this card's the real deal, and I know many others do as well.
Yep, I think that you need to be playing, of course, some degree of morphs to really maximize it, but this card is very powerful.
Joe taking a look right now. When a permanent you control is turned face up, you may return Death Mist Raptor from your graveyard to the battlefield face up or face down. Of course, you can do it face down because of Megamorph. Well, it's been exiled, so it's not going to be much of a problem now.
Yep. Abzan does have some good answers to this card, and Abzan Charm and Utter End.
Teamer Sabertooth. Chris presenting threats, forcing Joe to have answers. Elspeth the draw here for Joe. He'll play a Temple of Silence. Top card's going to go to the bottom. Pass the turn back over to Chris. Chris will take a draw step. Windswept Heath is what he's found. Coming on in for 4. That'll work just fine. Joe down to 13. A land, a Whisperwood Elemental, and for Chris, he's hoping a trigger. He gets it. The manifest was a Forest. And we are going to go Joe's way.
That was really the first stumble of the game there for Joe. Had Utter End in hand, but couldn't play an untapped land here on turn 4, and now is behind the curve a little bit.
There's Utter End. Got to get Whisperwood off the board.
Yeah, uncheck the card just does way too much.
Chris will untap here. Pretty decent board.
Oh.
There's Windswept Heath. Plains or Forest coming. It'll be a Plains.
And this is part of the power of Green-White Devotion is, unlike other Devotion decks that, you just have to play to your big top end, Chris, this game is just presenting just a curve of threats, not doing really anything Devotion-y, just the beatdowns.
Yeah, attacking for 7 this turn, tapping 5 mana, playing another Whisperwood Elemental, manifesting, and passing. It doesn't always have to do crazy things with Master of the Scene. You can just play a normal game. That's some of the appeal of this deck.
And Joe had Siege Rhino,
yep.
And it would have been exactly lethal coming on the way back. So,
Chris Andersen going to win game number 1 here over Joe Bass. Green-White Devotion up a game very quickly against Abzan mid-range. Time to look at the sideboard. Joe's going to be looking at 3 copies of Fleecemane Lion and a race, a Garruk Apex Predator, 2 Sorin Solemn Visitor, 3 Drowning Sorrows, 2 Glare of Heresies, 2 copies of Duress and a Liliana Vest. Nothing here really jumping out to me as an all-star.
I agree. I think the Drowning Sorrows are okay in this matchup to try to pin Christopher's mana a little bit and catch up against some of the tokens. I think the one erase definitely comes in because Master of the Unseen is problematic. Fleecemane Lion may come in if Joe is trying to lean a little bit more on his sweepers. Fleecemane Lion could be an effective blocker in the matchup, but this is not a lot in the sideboard here.
What do we see on Chris's side?
3 copies of Surge of Righteousness, a Dragon Throne of Tarkir, Dramoka's Command, 2 Hornet Nests, 2 Nissa Worldwakers, 3 Fleecemane Lions, 2 Glare of Heresy, and a Reclamation Sage. I think the 3 copies of Fleecemane Lion will come in as insurance against sweepers. The 2 copies of Glare of Heresy have some targets, and the 2 Nissas are nice in this matchup as well.
Fair enough. Both players going to work on their sideboards here. Get ready for game number 2. While we wait, we will talk about Patrick Chapin's fantastic book, Next Level Magic, new 2015 edition. It's available now.
Yeah, it's been sold out of paper book for over a year now, and it's available on paperback and ebook. This is the 2015 edition with new updates. StarCityGames.com/NLM to order your copy today.
He also has Next Level deck building available in paperback now as well. So Chapin, a busy guy.
Oh, yeah.
Don't know if another book's on the way. Maybe another album. Who knows?
Man's got his fingers in a lot of pies.
There's nothing that Chapin can't do.
Yep.
I am convinced. When he's not busy writing or recording, he'll do a little game design.
Yeah, game design.
He'll do a little Magic playing. Maybe get second at Worlds again. Really nothing.
Good
he can't
basketball
do.
game.
So I've heard.
Yeah.
So I've heard.
Got a really good dive man on a pick and roll.
Speaking of which, I was asked on social media if I just had to pick a starting 5 just off Magic players at each position, who it would be.
Are we talking historic, like you get these Magic players at their peak, or we're talking 2015?
I'd say 2015.
Okay.
I went with, for the record, I went with you, because I've heard you're pretty good.
Okay.
Chapin.
Yep.
Shahar,
Yep.
who you told me is really good at blocking shots. I think he's just good at basketball.
Yeah, he can definitely play.
Is Huey good?
I've never played with him.
Because Huey's tall.
He's obviously a huge dude, and I've heard he's good, but I've never played with him. I can't verify.
And I think the last one I went with was Ben Stark.
Ben Stark, it's funny because usually you have a bunch of guards, and there aren't that many bigs who can play. The Magic community is flush with pretty tall players with some game.
Okay.
There's Chapin, Shahar, Sperling, and Marshall Sutcliffe are all very good.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Marshall is a beast.
Okay.
People don't know this. Marshall's a beast.
Okay. Was very unaware. Can you play on the court with those guys? Do you belong out there with them?
Yeah, I can play.
All right.
I have a very different skill set than those people do.
I see. Is it the shooting skill
Yeah.
set? They can't shoot.
Like if we had a 3-point shooting contest like off of racks, I don't know if there's and you have to have at least 10 lifetime pro points. You can't just be some guy who is a basketball player who's played a little bit of Magic.
Sure.
I don't think there's anyone who could beat me in a shootout like that.
Actually,
no one I've seen.
I forgot how could I forget? Tom Herzog.
Yeah, Tom Herzog. Yeah, that sort of doesn't count because he's a basketball player first and Magic player second. You know what I mean?
The Maverick aficionado, former Michigan State basketball player. The
Right.
Spartans running wild in the NCAA tournament right now.
Yeah. Herzog, I'm sure, like Shahar and Chapin, they have some game. I think a 7-foot Division I basketball player probably dusts them up.
Maybe a little better. Maybe.
Yeah.
I wonder if Tom's taller than Huey.
Thomas Herzog?
Yeah.
Yeah, Huey's like 6'7". Herzog's like a legit 7.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Fair
he's
enough.
Huge.
Yeah, he is really, really tall. I bet Herzog could beat you in a 3-point challenge.
Mark Herberholz has got some game. Another Magic big with some game.
Looks like Joe's going to take a mulligan. Chris is happy enough to keep. Chris saying on social media, by the way, that he went 3-1 in both portions yesterday, and he said, both my decks were great. I played pretty bad.
Yeah, and Chris is the first one to admit that when he feels like his play was just not up to snuff. I remember there was the Open a little while ago where he ended up doing very, very well.
Yeah, week 1 in Columbus when he top-aided.
Where he barely got into day 2, had a really bad feature match at the end of day 1, and was the first one to say, I just played bad yesterday. This deck's very powerful when he was playing the 4-color Soul deck. This deck's very powerful, but I just did not play up to snuff. And shook it off and rattled off an undefeated Swiss in the day 2, and then
made top 8.
There you go.
Our backup match is Reed Duke versus Andrew Snyder. A battle of good-looking Magic players. Reed Duke currently up a game. Reed is playing Sultai Reanimators, you guys may have seen in his deck tech, and Andrew Snyder, 3-time Open Series champion, playing Mono Red as we are underway here in game number 2. Sandstorm Citadel here for Joe. Chris, you can see a Nissa World Waker in his hand.
I also know that Travis Wu's a baller, but I never play with him.
This is true as well.
But he can dunk, so that's like the cheats.
That is basically cheating.
Yeah.
Temple of Plenty here for Chris. Courser of Krufix, the card he's looking at. He will leave that on top. Attack for 1 here with an Elvish Mystic, and I think we'll see another one here in just a second. Maybe. He might be a little scared of Bile Blight.
Drown in Sorrow as well.
Yeah. Joe with just a Windswept Teeth and a passing of the turn. Chris going to deploy the Courser. Take a look at the top card. It is a land. So that'll come into play, we think, and it will. Windswept Teeth. That'll trigger the Courser. It'll gain a life. Top card of the deck is a Courser. We'll see if he wants to deploy the Elvish Mystic now, because Chris does have another land in his hand. He does have a copy of Temple of Plenty, but refusing to play the Mystic.
Yeah, I just don't, unless there's something really powerful that Chris is playing towards next turn, I don't think it's worth the risk. And this game is shaping up to be one that goes on for a really long time, and I don't think Christopher wants to expose himself to any unnecessary 2-for-1s.
Abzan Charm here. Joe going to draw 2 cards at the cost of 2 life. Get a little bit deeper into his deck. There is a Windswept Heath and a passing of the turn. We're going back Chris's way. Courser's the draw. Top card of the deck is Genesis Hydra. Chris going to start by sacrificing a Windswept Heath. So we'll see the top card of his deck here in just a moment. He gets a Forest. Now there's Dromoka's Command on top. Joe gonna take a look.
A lot of modes.
A lot of text on that one. It's a good one though.
One of the more hyped cards from the new set.
Absolutely. There's an erase. Follow-up, here's another Courser, we think, and it is. Temple. Will it stay on top? It looks like it will. Another Elvish Mystic. Chris is happy enough to present the second one of those now and pass the turn back. Joe gonna sacrifice a Windswept Heath here. So there is a Forest. And this is a Hero's Downfall. You can see Drowning Sorrow in his hand too.
Very well set up here.
Yep. Of course, if Crew fixed the draw.
Especially punishing now because Chris left Dromoka's Command on top of the deck, and that's a card that goes down quite a bit in value once his board gets swept away.
There is the Drowning Sorrow. Bye-bye Elvish Mystics. You mentioned Dromoka's Command is going to beat the draw. We know that already. Joe leaves his top card on top from the Scribe of Drowning Sorrow, plays Land Over Waste, kicks it back over to Chris, who does draw the Dromoka's Command. And Genesis Hydra for 2. Pelucranos and Windswept Heath. So he'll have to shuffle and just have an expensive 2-2.
Chris's hand is so clogged up with this expensive stuff right now that it's worth the risk. He's got Nissas and so forth, so if he hits there, it's really good. If he misses, well, whatever.
Temple of Malady and a passing of the turn. Here's an attack for 2. Joe gonna go down to 10. Player's gonna make sure life totals are correct here really quickly. And then we'll see what Chris has to follow up with here in just a moment. Sylvan Carry added. Pass the turn back over to Joe. Vassal draw a card.
You see Courser in his hand. He doesn't want to deploy just yet because of the Dromoka's Command.
We got something to cast. Just doesn't look like he wants to cast it yet. I go with Liliana. Not too bad to have here.
Yeah, I mean, the game's being played at a very slow pace, so this is very nice.
Now, Joe might have enough time here because he has a relatively high life total. He's at 10. We might see something like Liliana tutoring up a card like Ugin.
Yeah, there's a couple different routes that Joe can take here. He can also take End Hostilities, which is kind of a nice squeeze because Chris, in theory, would want to add more to his board to take care of the Liliana. I guess because he has Dromoka's Command. Conceivably could pump a creature, but Joe's got a lot of very good options. This is short of it. He can try to squeeze a little bit with End Hostilities. Yeah, so this is the route of play that Chris is going to take now to try to get Liliana off the table this turn. which bleeds out the Dramoka's command, which is very good news for Joe with the Courser in hand.
Yep. Land for Chris.
And if Ugin's the follow-up, that's really bad news.
Yeah.
Garrick, too. Apex Predator, also very good in the spot.
Leon is going to bite the dust thanks to the Genesis Hydra. Andersen going to sacrifice his Windswept Teeth, go a little bit lower. It'll be a forest that he searches up.
And if Chris is aware of the threat of Ugin here, you may see Nissa and just make a land of 4/4. It's a very powerful way to hedge against Ugin. Yes, it'll take care of some of the stuff in play, but at least Chris will have the opportunity to untap and kill it.
I think he might be going the Whisperwood route.
Same philosophy. Whisperwood also does some good work here.
There that is. Manifest. Kick it back. Joe will draw. There's a Courser. That one came into play pretty quick. Courser's on top of the deck. Pass the turn back. Expecting a more explosive turn given that he Leon'd last turn.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he went and got.
Because now Chris is going to open up the Nissa gate.
And now Ugin is not particularly effective.
Yep. Not sure what that manifest creature is, but everything's coming into the red zone.
This is a lethal attack. Joe's a 10.
Yeah.
So.
And Joe's got to do some blocking. Michael Braverman played against Christian Calcano this round, and he won again. So he's 12-0. He hasn't lost a match this weekend. Calcano moves down to X2. Means Michael Braverman 8-0 with Mono Red.
He can start drawing next round. I mean, his opponents can't.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah.
He's 12-0.
Yeah, he can. His opponents cannot.
He's about as locked as you can be at this point.
Yes, sir. What a tournament for him. Absolutely decimating the field. We were wondering if Mono Red was going to be good coming into this weekend. We were pretty sure it was going to be, and he has certainly shown that. Of course, we're going to jump in front of Genesis Hydra. And Joe had better have something or he's dead.
Yeah, I think he has a downfall.
Okay.
But this is only a temporary reprieve.
There goes Whisperwood Elemental. Looks like 6 damage is still going to come across. Andersen will pass a turn back. Windswept Teeth on top of the deck. There's another Courser. Heath will come in. Utter End's on top. That's up to 5. Still wondering what the card is he searched up. Maybe it's just downfall.
Maybe it was the downfall, yeah.
Plains to draw here for Andersen. His hand is a Sylvan Caryatid, a Plains, and a Glare of Heresy. This is ticking up. Everybody's coming in. This is a lethal attack yet again.
Particularly in the spot where Joe knew about Dramoka's command, so he knows his Liliana is probably not getting the next turn. If you're only going to get one tutor there, it feels like you have to go for a knockout punch sort of card. You can't get a downfall there when Christopher has you out-resourced in a number of ways. I'm not positive that it was a downfall, but it seems likely.
Joe's going to lose life to gain 2 life, so he actually goes up to 6 here. Both his Coursers are going to get in front of Nissa lands, so no trample damage will occur. Top card of the deck is Sans Subsidal. You can't imagine that helping very much. And the card actually in Joe's hand is End Hostilities.
Okay.
And that explains it a little bit because Whisperwood Elemental made it difficult to cast that, and then Nissa made it difficult to cast that.
Yeah, that totally makes sense if it was End Hostilities. Hoping that Chris just didn't have cards like Nissa and Whisperwood Elemental that would allow Joe to end hostilities and go from there.
Yep.
But Chris had his anti-attrition elements and was able to win as a result.
Chris Andersen wins this match over Joe Bass 2-0. Green White Devotion will take care of Abzan mid-range. For Andersen, that's a 4-0 through the standard portion on Green White Devotion.
And it's a deck that surprisingly still gets very little hype relative to what it did at Grand Prix Miami. We're not that far removed from this deck being the first and second place deck of a very large standard Grand Prix. Now, it didn't get a lot of love in the new set, but the base of the deck is still incredibly powerful, and it feels like it's been kind of off the radar for reasons that aren't totally clear to me.
Yeah, not as much hype about the deck as I thought. Now, I would